Who's ready? Okay, pens and pads. All right, hey.
Anybody got a question for the Phantom? William?
So, how was it like to play the Phantom of the Opera?
How was it like to play the Phantom of the Opera? It's fun. I mean, first and foremost, right? So you imagine you get dressed up. I sit in this chair for like an hour, and they put a bunch of makeup on my face, right? It made me look like a completely different person. And then I get behind this mirror and I sing my face off, you know, and then people are clapping and moving, and it's a lot of fun. I mean, overall, it's a good time. You guys have all been on stage, right, a little bit, so you know it's kind of a rush, you know. Yeah.
Any more questions? Madison?
What was it like in front of all those people?
So in the beginning, it was really scary. It's like, just right now, anytime I'm in front of people that I don't know in the beginning, I'm always like, oh, you know, I got the heart beating, racing, a little nervous. But then after a while, you kind of get used to it, and it's really exciting. It's not just nerves anymore, but it's also really exciting, you know. So at this point, when I come on the stage for the first time, there's always a lot of adrenaline, and it's very much, I can use it in the show. You know, does that make sense? Cool.
Tyra?
What was your first ever play?
My first ever play. So I think I was like maybe 7 or 8, and I was a star, like the star in the nativity scene. Like the actual, so I didn't have any lines or anything like that. I was just like the actual star. But like my first, I know, it was really silly, right? I went over there, you know, everybody had a Bible verse. So it was one of those. But then a little bit later on, I think in high school or junior high, I can't remember if it was junior high or high school, I was fresh year in high school, I was in a show. Oh man, I can't even remember now. Oh gosh, you would think I would remember. That was my first play ever. No, I don't remember, but I was in something in high school. Yeah.
How do you know that acting or Broadway was really for you?
You know what's funny? I didn't actually know that Broadway was for me or acting was for me until like 2 months ago. Now I've been a Phantom now for 4 months, but it wasn't until 2 months ago that I was like, I'm an actor. Like, that's it. You know, because as you get older, you know, you start to think like, okay, well, maybe I could do this, maybe I could be a teacher, maybe I could be, you know, a salesman, or I could like sell coffee or something like that, I don't know. You know, but it wasn't until doing it a lot that you start to get comfortable with the idea of doing it, and that you start really realizing that there's a place, you know. And once I was a Phantom, it was like, okay, there's a place for me. You know, I could be an actor, and it's okay. Yeah.
How did it feel for you to be the Phantom of the Opera, and what was the process like with the audition?
Oh, so like I said about the feeling of it, it's just like any role, man. Anytime you get on stage, it's you know, it's really crazy. But as far as the audition process goes, and this is a good question. If any of you guys are trying to do theater in the future, even if it's just high school or just community, it's a really important thing. So the audition process, you go in front of a room. There's not quite as many people. It's probably only like 5 to 10 people, and you sing or you act a part of the song. So they gave me music of the night, and they're like, okay, sing music of the night, you know. And so I got in there with the pianist. It's like a pianist right there, and I stood up, you know. Like, hi, I'm Quentin Lee, it's nice to meet you, you know, whatever. And then I sang the song, you know? And then they gave me some adjustments. They were like, okay, so that was good, but can you do it more? Can you emphasize this word, or can you think more of it like this in a completely different way, right? And so I had to take that direction and then use that direction. And I did that, and I left. And then they called me back in like an hour later, and there was a big old video camera, like 10 times bigger than that, the kind of thing that they take movies with. And yeah, they take me again, and then I went off to London to sing one more time for them, and yeah, now I'm on stage. Yeah. Oh, so many questions. Okay.
How does it feel to be a part of a Broadway hit show?
Oh man, like anytime you're a part of anything that's bigger than you, you know, it's a real honor. You know what I'm saying? It's like being a part of a church or even a football team, you know, that is winning, like the Saints just won just recently. Like I feel like it's not quite as cool as that, but it's kind of that cool, you know. I mean, it's a real honor to be a part of a big group that's been going for so long. Yeah. So many questions. I'm so glad y'all have so many questions.
Right. Are you married or in a relationship and you have children?
No, that's a good question. That's a good question. So yeah, my wife she almost came. She was with me right before I got here. So yes, I am married. I don't have any kids. And as far as the Phantom goes, the particular role of the Phantom, yeah, I'd say it's about half and half. Two of the four of us have been married. But having a family is really important.
Mr. Tankerson, please buzz the office. Akil Haroon, report to the office with your belongings. Akil Haroon, report to the office with your belongings. Peters, Mrs. Dupree is asking that you be mindful about the dismissal time. Make sure that you meet students down to the gym in an orderly fashion and on time, so that they're not too late and miss their buses this afternoon. Students have been coming in after 3:30 to report to the bus.
So something that's really important as an actor to know is that, like, you don't necessarily have another job afterward. You know what I'm saying? So after this show closes, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm going to just be auditioning for more shows. So hopefully I'll be in another Broadway show. That'd be great. And then maybe I'll do like TV or film or something like that. That'd be really fun.
Y'all make sure to wait after you're done speaking or raise your hand. Chelsea?
What inspired you to become an actor?
Honestly, classes like this. Like when I was your age, I was in music class actually. I was in a lot of theater and music, and then I went to college. Again, I wasn't sure that I wanted to be in it, but like I did it and it was fun. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, because of singing, I got a scholarship to college. And I was like, well, why not keep singing? You know, I mean, if they're gonna pay me to go to school, like that's great, you know. So I used the opportunity, got a better education, and then I just kept doing it, and then I got hired, you know. So it just kind of fell into place. So the more you take advantage of the opportunities that are in front of you, like the better you do, you know. Yeah.
Kennedy?
Do you sing any other genres, and what other genres would you sing?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I sing opera, so I studied opera. But then I would say musical theater is a completely different genre. I mean, I also really love R&B, but I'm not that good of a singer, you know. I'm no, like, insert famous R&B singer. So yeah, I love all kinds of genres, except for country. I don't like country. Personally.
No one likes it.
Joshua?
Being the Phantom, you know his actions and feelings. Does he relate to your life, and how?
Yo, that's a really good question. I mean, everybody has had good questions, but that is a solid question. Yeah, you'll find the thing with being a good actor, hopefully, is you can find yourself in any role, you know what I mean? Or especially the roles that you play. Like if you decide that you're reading a play or a script or something like that, and some of the characters don't really mesh with who you are, then maybe that's not the best part for you. But for Phantom, he's really misunderstood as a person, and I can identify with that really well. You know, he also is very focused as a person, and I can also identify with that. And he just wants to be loved and understood, you know? So, yeah, I definitely try to feel those feelings, you know?
Simone, where do you live, or where would you like to live?
So I currently live on the road, really, currently in New Orleans, and next month in South Bend, Indiana. But as a Broadway singer, a lot of Broadway shows are in New York, so that's where I'm based out of, but I'm from California. So I'd like to live in California, but I'll probably be back in New York, you know. They're both great, although New Orleans is cool too. Yeah.
How does it feel to travel around the country and study new cities and cuisines?
Oh, she said cuisine. She already knows. You know exactly what it is. You know, when you have different places, you get to try different things. Never had such good Creole food, obviously, than being here in New Orleans. It's great, yo. I mean, traveling is hard because you can't be with your family all the time, but you can call them. You know, you got FaceTime, you got stuff like that. but the food is always good, right? And that's in my mind, that's one of the best parts. Meeting cool people and eating good food, you know? That's what it's about. Yeah.
Michael?
At the end of the show, when the guards came in your lab, where did you go?
This is a great question. Yeah, I cannot answer that. I know. You got to be in the show in order to know. You got to be in the show. I can't say. Trade secrets, yo. Trade secrets. Theater magic. Theater magic. Yeah.
What was the best show, movie, or play that you've ever been in?
The best thing that I've ever been in? Oh, man. I mean, I really like this show, but that's because I'm in it right now. I also was in Lion King in Disneyland, at Hong Kong Disneyland. And that was fun because I got to ride an elephant. I mean, come on, like, what's better than that? So, yeah.
Jonathan?
What was your most dangerous stunt, and have you ever been hurt doing this stunt?
That's another good one. The most dangerous thing, so that show, Phantom's actually really dangerous because of all the live fire that happens. One of the Christines got seriously injured. She got like a 3rd-degree burns on her arm because the fire pot. Yeah, no, like it was really terrible. As for me, the whole back, so you know how the whole wall moves in the back?
Yeah.
During the very first time I went on, not in front of an audience, it was right before my first audience run. The very end, at the very end, as I'm trying to exit, I went the wrong way because I was brand new, and the whole stage, the whole back wall rolled over my foot. I know, right? I know. But honestly, by God's grace, like, I didn't lose any toes. But like, whoa, I was very nervous. I also, you know, I was very close to fire a lot of the time, so it's very dangerous. This show is by far the most dangerous show I've been in. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
If you wasn't focused on an actor, what would your career be?
If I wasn't an actor or a singer or an entertainer at all, what my career would be, I'd probably be a teacher. Teaching. I mean, I sound silly, but as the older you get, the more you realize the more important teachers really are. Like, you guys, they really change people's lives. Like, one-on-one, they change people's lives. You know, so it's cool. Yeah.
Deja?
Who did you look up to when you were growing up? And did you have a favorite singer or actor?
Ooh. Well, I can tell you right now who my favorite singer and actor is, who I look up to, is Norm Lewis. If you're familiar with him, he's an African-American man. Also, he's from the South. Yeah, so Norm Lewis is my favorite now. But growing up, I mean, I like MJ, Michael Jackson, of course. Growing up, he was so dope. I'm trying to think if there was anybody else that was like lit. Nah, I mean, I like Snoop when I was a young kid. I was from California, so yeah, that's it.
William?
If you have like a chance to go anywhere, not with the home one, not the home country, like if anywhere else to act, where would it be?
If I could act anywhere else, where would it be? It would probably the UK, right? Because they got, so in London, they've got the best of everything as far as actors go. It's all classically trained, it's completely different. They're supposed to be super like tip top. So if you can act and, you know, and sing in the UK, now, oh, then you'll be somebody, you know? Yeah.
Do you have an understudy, and do you switch, and why did your understudy take your place if he or she did?
Okay, that's a good question. So I have 2 understudies. They were both in the show, actually. So the guy who I hung, he was one of my understudies, and another guy who was in the ensemble was one of the understudies. I rarely don't go out of the show, like, but if I get sick, you know, if something happens, like when my foot got ran over, you know, if I have to miss a show for any reason, then they would take over. However, the Christines, so the Christine that you saw, she was one of the understudies. So our main Christine was on vacation, is on vacation right now, which is, hey, listen, it's a job, you know, it's really hard. Sometimes you gotta go on vacation. Yeah, so there's that. Understudies, very important. Yeah.
Irvington?
Do you have any methods for me to learn how to sing well by myself?
It's a good question. Yeah. First of all, no, I mean, you sort of laugh, but nowadays it's really important to be able to learn on your own, you know? Because some of the stuff that you teach, that you have to learn, you can't necessarily depend on other people to teach you. You know, when it comes to singing and acting, I would say cameras for acting is very important. Like actually film yourself and then look and to see what you're conveying is if it's actually coming across. You know, it's a very difficult process, but it's important as far as actually becoming a better actor. As far as becoming a better singer, it's about feel. It's about feel. For me, it was the most difficult. Like, I hate to say it, but it's honest. Like, I did not really like my voice teachers as I was going on. I was so mad because it was a difficult process to learn how to sing. Because it's not ever, you know, I don't want to say it's naked, but you feel very exposed when you sing. Like, you know, it's your own personality when you're singing. And then there's somebody trying to change it. But you have to be willing to change. And so it's hard to learn how to sing on your own, but you get to a point where you will understand how it's supposed to feel. You know? In general, if it feels bad, if you're like really pushing and stretching it, then you're probably not doing it the best way. Yeah. You know, you should see somebody how to do better. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. Dope.
Will you sing for us later?
Y'all already heard me sing my face off, right? I was crying and carrying on. Nah, I can't sing any better than that. I can't sing any better than that. Yeah.
Ronald and Keisha, do you have a question?
Another question I'd like to ask is, while you're in New Orleans, how long will you be out here after the show, and what's your favorite place to go eat?
Oh, favorite place to go eat? Okay, so we got here 2 weeks ago, Monday, not last Monday, but the Monday before. Does that make sense? And then we were leaving on Sunday, so in a couple of days, which is really, I know, it's too bad. So only here for 2 weeks, my first time ever. So far, my favorite place to eat, oh man. What? I feel like I've eaten a lot of places, and they've all been good. That is really hard. I mean, you're trying
Or
it.
maybe a favorite food item that you've had since you've been here?
I can tell you this. This is true. So my wife and I took a cooking class when we were here. I had to learn how to make a roux on my own, using it, and then with like a Trinity, a roux, you know?
For like a gumbo?
For a gumbo, or for an etouffee.
Oh, that's what.
Yeah, I didn't know even what a roux was before, so it's like, it's all right if y'all don't know. Anyways, so at this cooking class, we made our own crawfish etouffee and our own gumbo, chicken and I can't even remember. It was bomb. It was so good. It was so good. So that was probably, and we also made our own bread pudding, and it was so good. I love food. Yeah, so that's what it was.
What?
Yeah.
She gets that shake.
My question is, I know that the play is like 2 hours long, so
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask, how did you memorize your lines?
Oh, I got a funny story about memorizing lines. I don't know how much time we'll have that much. So I have always had and still have a terrible memory when it comes to lines. Just awful. So bad, in fact, that I went to my first college professor before I was even enrolled in the program. I went there and I was like taking a lesson, and I was like, oh man, I have a really bad memory. I'm really nervous about whether or not I should be going down this path. And she was like, don't do it. Like, don't be an actor. Don't be a singer. If you have problems with your lines, you shouldn't do it. It's too hard. And I was like, what are you talking about? Of course I want to sing and act. What else am I supposed to do? You know, it was like, come on, man. You can't just tell me no. So really, to answer your question, it's a matter of repetition. It's a lot of repetition for one, and for two, it's focused repetition. The more things you can like put to something, the more easy it is to memorize. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Like, for instance, if I was supposed to memorize everybody's name here, it'd be easier to memorize that people's names if I could remember somebody else that has that same name. For instance, what's your name? Mike Keisha. So I don't know Mike Keisha, but I know Keisha, and I know Mike. And so if I was like, okay, so Mike and Keisha are reading Mike Keisha right now here in this little class. And I could always remember, oh, Mike Keisha was the one that was giving me the interview along with Ronald. Oh, I have a really good friend named Ronald. And of course I can think of McDonald. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. You get all the time. It's a good thing. It's a good thing. It means people remember you. It means people remember you. But Mike Keisha and Ronald, they were fantastic. They were interviewing me. So the more things I hook to that, the better. That's a little piece that's actually really good. Yeah.
Mr. Quentin, the crazy thing about that is that those are my two parents' names.
Mike and Keisha? Do you see? They know. They know.
Maybe go let them know downstairs.
Okay. Okay.
Oh no, she's just getting signed out.
Oh, cool.
But I think she wants to come back in.
Cool. Very cool. See, that makes sense.
Did everyone get a chance to ask one question at least?
Yes.
Oh, did he? I don't think he has.
That's your question.
How do I go to the bathroom? How do I hold the note? I was like, oh, okay, the same way. I hold the note. How do I hold the note that long?
How do you hold it? How do you hold it? Like,
Oh, man, what we talking about? There's an intermission in the middle of the show. I only have to hold it for like an hour. How do you hold it for the class, right? I mean, anytime you go to class, you can hold it for like an hour, 2 hours. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. You can. I usually don't. I usually don't eat in the middle. But I do go to the restroom every intermission because I drink a lot of water in the middle of the show. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
well, let's have a few more questions. You can now get to you have a second round of questions you wanted to ask. We'll just ask a few more and then we'll take a picture and then you can have a chance to meet with, they can actually hang.
Would it be okay if I sang for you before you left?
I mean, that's.
Jonathan, hop on up right
Come
now.
on, you want to sing? Come
Time of the opera is near, inside my mind, inside my mind.
Yeah, my man. Yeah. So first of all, man, it takes guts to be able to get up in front of people and sing. Oh, it takes more guts than I have. That was dope. That was good. You got a good voice, man. You got a good voice.
We have two other people that wanted to maybe share their voice. Miss Tiana.
You gonna sing too? Oh, okay. You want to sing to be up here? I'll move it.
Chris.
It's gonna be the same song. Jonathan did.
In sleep he sang to me, in dreams he came, that voice that called to me and said my name. And when I dream again, for now I find the phantom of the opera is there inside my mind.
Maybe at the end, right?
Yeah, I'm good. Oh, God. Yeah, me too. I love when people sing. And I love it. Okay, so really quick, it's clear that you guys are talented group of kids, guys. You know, that's good. Yo, keep. You know, and obviously we're not all the way done, and somebody else is going to come back and sing. You going to sing? Markeisha, you going to sing? No, she's not going to sing. Well, I would say it's so important for you guys to keep getting more and more, keep practicing. I can say I wasn't half as talented as either of you guys when I was your age. Seriously, I was all I did was play video games, and I still play a lot of video games. Truth be told.
Hey.
But I also practiced.
Fortnite. Mr. Quentin?
Yeah.
You play Fortnite?
You said Fortnite?
Yeah.
Not yet. No, I did hear about it though. I did hear about it. I don't know. If you don't? Okay. I did have some quiz Okay.
All right, John.
Okay. So, to that, I do say, in order to keep, in order to get to a higher level, you just gotta keep practicing. You know what I mean? The more you practice, the more people will be like, oh my gosh, that was moving, that was good. You know, and the more you practice, the more you're able to really help somebody. You know, help them feel something different, which is the point of why we do what we do. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, was there somebody else who wanted to sing?
No, he's maybe not feeling so well today,
That's
but
cool.
a couple more questions.
No, yeah, I can sing. You
then you
know?
guys can meet.
You gonna call him? I
Be good listeners, y'all.
I know I told us that you studied opera or singing, but what made you want to be in a musical?
I mean, really, yeah, it was high school. We're all in this together. No, it's definitely not high school. What are you talking about? I still haven't seen High School Musical. What made me want to be in a musical? I mean, I had been in them before, and they're very similar to opera, you know? They're very similar, except for that they're all in, you know, musicals or in general or in English. You know, I wanted to share whatever it was that I had, you know, and I also wanted to, like, feed myself. So, fun story, really quick story. So when I graduated college, right, so I graduated high school, didn't know what I was going to do, got into a school, and they paid me to sing, and I was like, okay, cool. And so I started studying musical theater. Not musical theater, I started studying opera. And then when I left school, I moved to New York, because I was thinking, oh, yo, what else? I gotta go to New York, I'm gonna make it as a singer, like, it's gonna be great. And I was singing in the subways, y'all. No joke. Like, I had nothing but $500, didn't have any money. I mean, if you know $500 is not, that ain't gonna get you rent for a month. That's not even gonna get you, like, barely gonna get you groceries. Like, not even. So, there was my food. And so I'm thinking like, oh man, what am I supposed to do? So I just started singing, like, in the subways, essentially. I hooked up with another group, with a big group that sang, but essentially that's what I was doing for a while. And I was really fortunate, somebody came along from a casting company that cast like some big movies and some shows you might have heard of, like Hamilton and like Wicked and a bunch of other shows. Aladdin, yeah. It's all the same company. Anyways, they happened to be walking in the subway and happened to see me singing my face off, trying to earn money for dinner. And they were like, hey, come and audition for this show. We're doing Porgy and Bess. Come and audition. And so I auditioned. And then 6 months later, I booked it. And I was on the road going and doing shows. So that's how I ended up doing musical theater specifically, is because that like turn of events. Yeah, crazy, huh? So practice, huh? Oh, I can pick? Okay. What have you been picking? You've been quietly raising your hand in the front.
Have you ever been to the Tony Awards and if not, would you ever like to go?
I want to get a Tony. What are we talking about? Have I been in a Tony? No, I haven't been yet. I have friends who have been in it. And I was hoping that I was in a show. My first Broadway show was this year, before Phantom, and I was hoping that I was going to get nominated for a Tony, and it did, but not for any category that I would be there for. So hopefully one day you'll see me on the Tonys, and maybe y'all will be there too. All right, what's up?
So what happened when y'all go to other places and they don't speak the same languages?
What you mean?
Like if you go to France,
Like France?
Yeah, and they don't speak the same languages.
That's a good question. So a lot of times, so like I said, I did a show in Hong Kong. I didn't say in Hong Kong. I said I did Disneyland. I did Lion King in Disneyland. It was in Hong Kong, so it was in China, right? And like 2/3 of the show was in Cantonese, so it was in a completely different language.
So how do you sing it?
Chinese. How do I sing it?
You have to learn it?
Usually you have to learn it, but thankfully for me, all of my stuff was in English. So I just had to know English. I just sang in English. It was great. Like an American. I know, right? I know.
Did your parents support or like the idea of being an actor?
Absolutely not. No way. They were like, you need to get a job like a regular person. You know? I mean, the truth be told. And I was like, well, I mean, this is what I have and this is what I'm good at. But it wasn't until recently that they were like, okay, you can actually make a living. My daddy doesn't even know who Phantom is. It wasn't until recently he was like, oh, apparently Phantom of the Opera is a big deal. It's like, yo, exactly. It was like, what? I know, right? Anyway,
This love Quentin Oliver Lee, our wonderful Phantom guest. Let's do 2 more questions and then we're going to take our photo.
I got a question.
You have not asked questions. And you said if your voice is what was as rude. So yeah, how to sing while puberty is happening. Yo, just work on the fundamentals. Just work on breathing, really, and just work on how the voice feels in your resonating space, in your mask. Honestly though, if you work on just breathing for the first 5 years, you'll be so far ahead. And then also work on trying to sing the words. Just say the words. You know what I mean? Don't necessarily feel them, but just say them. Does that make sense? Okay, I got one more. And I gotta go with Ronald because he was asking questions.
Like when you get a phantom and you just like after your show you just like closing around and people like recognize you and want to take pictures of you, what you doing all that?
Mostly no. But yesterday, it was funny. Yesterday I was leaving the stage door. And wasn't nobody there, right? I was like, oh, nobody liked the show, nobody's at the stage door. Oh, so sad. And then I was at the crosswalk, and there was these 2 women, and they like did a double take, and they were like, are you Quentin? And I was like, yeah. And they were like, oh. And then they started gushing about like the show, which was fun. So occasionally you'll get somebody like in a supermarket who's like, oh, I saw this show when I saw you. But generally that's only if they're in the first couple rows because you're so far back sometimes you can't tell. They didn't know that I was even black at one point because they couldn't see me. Anyways, yes. Thank you guys.
Before we let him go, we're going to take a snapshot, but we're going to avoid individual pictures, y'all. So what we're going to do is the first group I want is the 7th and 8th grade. You're going to stand. Okay, then the 6th grade is the next row, and then 4th and 5th, you are our 3rd row. You might need to take a little knee, okay?
Alright, move this over there.
Move it to the center. Oh my God.
Sugar. I ain't lying, something wrong with me.
I just want to get all your faces in, alright? Yeah, there we go.
A little bit, not really. Okay.
Alright, I need to be able to see y'all's faces. Can my first row come down a little bit? Thank you.
Alright, Ronald, get in there.
Wait.